Hey guys, how's it going? Joey here. Today we're going to be doing another patch note review. I think I ended up skipping the last patch because there wasn't really that much to talk about, but this one there's quite a few more changes. So without further ado, let's just get into it. If you guys do enjoy these types of videos, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, or tell me if you guys enjoy the patch notes. I'm not going to make them every single time. I'm just going to make them. I think there's a lot of changes to talk about. Because I think other people probably do a better job, but if you guys just enjoy my content and want to see me do it, I got you guys. First of all, Vanguard, they're not coming out with this till 14.5. Who cares? Let's just get into actual champions and stuff like that. First up, we have Ahri. Ahri got a little hard hitted by the removal of Everfrost to begin with. The champion has been kind of weak ever since. So just giving it a little bit of health growth, a little bit of damage on Q. Nothing really too major, but it's going to be a little bit of a nice buff to all those Ahri players so that it's a little bit stronger than what it was in the past. ASOL got a bit overbuffed on last patch, so they're taking that back a little bit. They did hotfix nerf ASOL to begin with to bring it back a little bit. So they're bringing it back even a little bit more with the base scaling of, or the base damage, sorry, the base damage of the ASOL Q. Bard, they're trying to make it less of a tank support. They're trying to make it build more AP items, not better AP scalings and stuff like that. Because Bard's been really broken as just building whatever he wanted to build. And just being like a 1v9 machine because his items just didn't really matter or anything like that. So they're taking away some of his armor. They're giving him a little bit more attack speed and a little bit more attack speed ratio. And then they're making the passive scale better off of AP rather than just pure chimes. So a lot of his damage is now built more into the AP aspect and the scaling of that rather than just the auto attack of just getting a bunch of chimes and 1v9ing. Kind of same thing with Cosmic Binding. They are nerfing the base damage of it, but then adding a little bit more scaling so that you are less incentivized to just go that full tank Bard and still doing a ton of damage. Small thing to Fiora is the attack speed slow is decreased to 25% for 2 seconds instead of 50% for 2 seconds. Not really sure about this change. I don't think Fiora was really too rampant in the meta or anything like that. Kind of cool, I guess. I mean, if you're a Fiora player, unlucky. I used to be a Fiora main back when it was Old Master Yi Q for the good old days. They are nerfing Alawi passive damage. They're buffed Alawi range and stuff like that on the last patch, so a little bit of a tone back and the AD ratio for the champion. Small buffs to Jace are coming in. Base AD, which feels really nice. Always nice to get some base AD buffs, especially when you're playing a champion like Jace, who already has like a fairly strong early game. The mana restoration on W will feel very nice for sure, as well as a little bit more damage. But I don't think this is going to affect too much because it's like 5. Wow, that's crazy. And then this is kind of the cool thing. E kind of works like Lee Sin are. So like how you insect is a little bit different with JC now. Kind of cool. They're changing Cassante again. The imbalanceable champion, I'm pretty sure the champion will still be fine after the changes. I don't think much is really happening to him. It's just Iceborne Gauntlet is probably a little bit more mandatory on him now. But other than that, I don't think it's like he's going to be a bad champion or anything like that. It's still Cassante. It's still 4,000 HP Showmaker combo. It's still quite strong in my opinion, I would assume. Not 100% sure. I'm not a top laner, but I don't really think these changed too much for Cassante. Base health is going up. Base mana is going up. Q no longer slows. The W cast time minimum is lower or reduced or something like that, removed. And then E is a lot slower in terms of how fast you move, which feels nice that his combo is a little bit slower. It's a little bit easier to react to and stuff like that. Small buff to Kai'Sa. Originally, they had planned to give her base AD scaling, which was going to be insane for Kai'Sa, but instead they just gave her cast range on her ulti being 500 higher. Small buff for a champion that was kind of in a weird, okay spot. Probably still in that weird, okay spot. This isn't going to make her meta or anything like that. It's just going to be in the situations where she's good. She's going to be a little bit better. They're doing a change to Callista E. This matters more in short trade matchups, than all-in matchups, because every single time you throw a spear and you press E, you're losing 10 damage. So if you're doing like short trades with just E and then just one round, it's like it's a lot of damage reduction. But if you're doing a bunch of spears, it's basically no damage reduction. Lulu Q is getting changed. They nerfed Lulu, I think it was like last year basically, and they never gave her composition buffs back because they definitely over nerfed her because of how prevalent she was in competitive play. But they're now giving her a little bit more AP and making her less of an enchanter in that way. Well, I guess it's still a bit of an enchanter, but they're giving her more AP scalings and more damage in general. Actually, wait, they're not giving her AP scalings. I read the things wrong. I'm a fraud. They're giving more magic damage and stuff like that and base and stuff like that. Sorry. Basically, the Q bolt damage is now 50% if you hit the second one, which is kind of cool. I think some matchups you can even max Q on Lulu. which is pretty pog. Kind of have to see. I know in some hard matchups, I had the theory craft that going Comet and Qmax was actually better, and just using it as poke ability to maintain prio. When you're playing stuff first, like Karma or other like mage supports like Hui or Xerath or Lux, doing that might have felt good in the past. I'm kind of curious if that would be a thing as well. I'll probably do a full AP Lulu game when it comes out, just out of curiosity with Qmax, just to see how things go. Maybe it's a solo laner as well now. These are definitely good buffs for solo and Lulu, so give it a try yourself, as well as a little bit more HP scaling. HP from AP scaling. Maokai, I don't know if you guys have looked at the numbers for support Maokai this patch, but it's like, it was like 58% on 14.2, and then they nerfed Maokai on 14.3, and then they didn't nerf him hard enough, so now they're nerfing me again on 14.4, because his win rate is still like 55%. So they're trying to kill him off the tree a little bit here, especially into the support role. Base armor going down by 4. That'll just affect early game a decent amount. Not going to be as tanky and stuff like that. And then they are also nerfing the base damage of the Q. Kind of sucks for the Maokai, is what it is. Another big thing is they're making the root scale less as the distance goes on, and just the base is lower. So Merc Treads are going to feel even better versus this champion. I think this is a good change. I think Maokai is a little bit too much free low. I think Maokai is a bit of an elo inflated champion right now. All the Maokai players were just super high LP for no reason. The champion get like 0-10, still useful, didn't matter. So kind of glad to see the champion get nerfed, to be completely honest with you. I think it was just a little bit too strong. Rek'Sai, they're trying to bring back into the game. The champion hasn't existed for a very long time. They're trying to make it, I think, faster with like more of like a bruiser build, giving base movement speed to the champion, but taking away some of the base health regeneration. They're changing how the passive works and how much HP you're getting from the passive to now being like percent based on maximum HP and level, rather than like that flat 10 and less of a scaling. They're changing how the Q functions as a basic attack instead of a spell, meaning the attack time is faster and more reliant to Rek'Sai's attack speed. The Q is a shorter cooldown, and I believe it also does less damage, but has a better, no, worse scaling, sorry. Worse scaling. The cool thing about the Rek'Sai changes is the knockup actually knocks up all champions instead of just the person that you're targeting, which is kind of insane, to be honest with you. Not gonna lie, a little OP sounding. We knock up for Rek'Sai, we take those. And then the other cool thing is that the E-Tunnel actually moves a lot faster and is a lot shorter cooldown. So you're unexpectedly fast at how you're moving. With Rek'Sai, as well as just your early clear is going to feel a lot faster because you can just use a lot more tunnels and stuff like that. All the other changes are just like damage changes, so I won't really go through them. Renekton coming back into the meta. Renekton felt pretty jobless after the removal of Gore Drinker. In general, I felt like it just didn't find its place in top lane anymore. So they're kind of adding some buffs to the champion so it can actually be more dominant in an early game like it's supposed to be. They're adding more healing onto the Q. They're reducing the E cooldown when you put points into it, and they're giving you a little bit more HP. It's probably a worth it buff, or like a good buff. I don't think Renekton was the champion that he was supposed to be. He wasn't scaling. He's never been a good scaler, right? And his early game wasn't that strong right now. And with Grubs being in the meta, if he was a strong early game, he'll probably be very, very prominent in the meta. So kind of cool to see that one. All right, they are nerfing Smolder. Yeah, I mean, not much to say. You just get less stacks, I think, right? But if you still get it if the minion dies, which is kind of nice. They're nerfing mostly the W about Smolder. And the reason this is because they're a little bit too strong how it was working with Doran's Ring and making an uninteractive landing phase with Comet. That's not how they intended the champion to be played. So they're making it so W max or 3 points W and laning phase for AD carry isn't like turbo broken, and it's more actually has to play the lane and stuff like that. As well as they're making it so that when you ulti, you still cast the ulti. I'm kind of nervous about this one, to be honest with you. Soraka changes. They're buffing Soraka, which is a champion that I felt was already really strong in a lot of situations to begin with. So I'm not entirely sure why she's getting buffed like this, but sure. I mean, I'll take it. I'm a Soraka player. Kind of annoyed that I have to play versus more Soraka and solo queue. They're giving a small buff. Nothing really too major, I would say. I think the biggest one is probably the R cooldown decrease, but we'll go through them. More movement speed from passive when you're being the little ambulance. Getting to people is a bit easier. They're making the Q total healing a little bit more, 10 every level, which is nice. Nothing really too major. And this one. Oh, wait, it's only 10 seconds? Okay, I thought it was 20 seconds when I had originally read this from the first post about the Soraka changes. 10 seconds, nothing major, but still going to be a lot more impactful in early game to have that cooldown reduced. Just more ults per game, feels good. Another big change they're doing, Thresh. Tried to buff him into meta. He doesn't really have a place. The only people who are really picking Thresh are Thresh mains, and they're doing well with it. So happy to do the Thresh mains, but maybe some of us non-Thresh players or not as active Thresh players can benefit from the buffs of the champion. They're adding base armor to Thresh, which feels good. They're also adding more scaling to the E with points into it, which is kind of weird because right now Thresh is in the spot where he wants to max Q into W. So putting points into E kind of feels weird. There are some matchups where putting like 3 points E into Q or W max have felt good for Thresh in the past. Maybe this is something that will be the case now, but I don't think it's really going to change too much. My favorite part about this is that in ARAM, I love playing E max Thresh. And like the on hit 80 Thresh. Not that this really changes it because it's on this E-flay damage. Just something to talk about. The cooldown of the R is really nice though. 20 seconds from every rank is kind of big. It gives you a lot more kill opportunities within the early game because you're basically getting this one wave faster and feels pretty good. All right, they're nerfing TF80 carry. TF80 carry is basically in the same right that Maokai is right now in solo queue, where the win rate is just ridiculously high for like no reason. They're also nerfing the AP version as well. First thing they're nerfing is attack speed growth by 0.5%. And then they're also nerfing the pick guard AP scaling by a little bit. And then they're also nerfing the AP on stacked deck. I know my boy Peckinmove has to be sad about this. No more AP TF one shot combo wombo, although it probably will exist, to be honest with you. I mean, it's what, like is that a 25% reduction to your damage off of AP damage, which is a little bit of a lot, to be honest with you. I feel like you probably still can one-shot people, but yeah, just gonna be a little bit harder to get that one-shot off. Varus base AD decreased. Nothing major to this, just a small change, to be honest with you. Varus is a little bit too strong in pro play drafts with his early laning phase. Wow. Kudos, Riot. They're correct in that. Pretty OP champion. I think it'll still be played in both pro and solo queue, so nothing really major on that one. Volibear Q movement speed and E cooldown adjust and R duration increased and cooldown decreased. Wow. Small Volibear buffs. This champion has been a worthless bear for quite a bit of time, honestly. After they nerfed it. They nerfed it in season 13. I think they nerfed it in season 13. But yeah, it hasn't really found its place in the meta in pro play or in solo queue. These changes are going to give them a little bit of a nice little buff. Maybe I'll play Volibear support with the Q movement speed being doubled towards enemy champions. You can really run at people pretty fast, I would assume. And the R being 30 seconds slower is very nice for early game jungling to be able to dive more often. I don't think it's the biggest change. I think he's probably just not the greatest solo queue champion to begin with, just because of the builds and the items and stuff like that. Some champions are gatekept by items, kind of like Ahri is, where like you don't have Everfrost. And same with Veigar, you don't have Everfrost, where like you're giving these small compensation buffs here and there, and it's not really going to do too much to the champion because they just lost like a core item that made them strong to begin with. Volibear just doesn't really have the greatest build path in items right now. I don't think Bruiser Volibear is very good. I don't think Tank Volibear is very good. I think AP is kind of interesting, but not very meta. So is what it is for that. I believe they are reducing Zyra damage to like Baron. Yeah, no. Bonus to non-epic monsters is increased. So overall, Zyra jungle is faster and worse in lane. Yes. Sounds good. Good job, Joey. We got through that one. All right, we'll move on to items now. The item changes are a little bit big. There are some support item changes that we will talk about that are a little bit interesting. Other than that, I don't think there's really the most insane item changes. Basically, they're making Black Cleaver stack faster, and everyone is a little bit faster with it. And that's kind of honestly all that's really happening to Black Cleaver, as well as just the build path is changing a little bit. It's now building out of College and Ruby Crystal rather than Kilogem and Longsword. So just remember that if you're playing top lane, that you're actually buying the right items. I actually struggle with this when they change support items build paths. That I just like, I'm so used to how old items build. Like I still buy Negatron Cloak when I'm trying to buy Mikael's. It's just so hard to get used to some of these changes. Hullbreaker is now an on-hit item instead of an on-attack item. Not really sure what that means, to be honest with you, but thumbs up. Thanks, Riot. Ravenous Hydra now applies lifesteal to the Ravenous Crescent at an 150% effectiveness. Small buff to Ravenous Hydra. Basically, a lot of, I think, the TM items got some sort of change or whatnot. It's just bug fixes for this. Terminus stacks a lot faster in general, which is kind of cool. I don't think anything else is really changing. I think they just doubled all the values and half the cap or something like that, relatively. So everything is kind of the same. It just stacks faster. It's a little bit easier to get all the stacks off. A little bit of a buff to Terminus because it doesn't need as much ramping. If you have like Ginsus, you're getting it at like 4 autos. Now the full effect rather than the, what was it, 6 autos or 7 or something like that. So that's kind of cool. Next up is support items. One of the big things that has been happening in the support role is people are buying Doran's items instead of their World's Atlas first item. And I don't think Riot liked that very much, to be completely honest with you. So they're making changes to make it so it's not as OP to do that. Yeah. I mean, in some matchups, it honestly might still be good. If you're playing matchups where, like, if you kill the enemy, it's unplayable, then maybe you still do this. But yeah, generally, they're just making the charge time between stacks longer, but you get the stacks earlier, which feels great. You're getting them now at first wave crash, essentially. A little bit after first wave crash, but before second wave crash, which feels great. And the quest charge on all of them is a little reduced. Cool, happy with that. A little bit more health from Bounty of Worlds. Thank you. Health, mana, regeneration as well. Thank you. Nerf to Bloodsong. Thank you. And Solstice Slay nerfed on Rage champions, essentially, is what this is. This health breakpoint for most melee champions is pretty in line to when you are getting it. It's like maybe 10 or 20 HP less when you're actually getting the Solstice Slay, but the overall scaling of this is much better. You do get to pass that 120 health breakpoint somewhat fast on most melee champions that have like flat HP scalings and stuff like that, or decent HP scalings. And then they're reducing the movement speed, or changing how the movement speed works. But now it's 30% bonus move speed to king over 3 seconds, whereas before it's 90 flat to king over 4 seconds. Just a bit of an overall nerf to the Slay. It was a little bit stronger than people had initially anticipated. This Zaxak change is actually really weird. It's better versus tanks, but worse in early game, is if I remember I did the math correctly. But overall, I think it's a better item from when I was doing the math. If I was correct, it's just worse in early game. It's just better scaling, kind of similar to this. I wouldn't worry about it too much. The champions that are building Zaxak are still going to build Zaxak. It's not going to change or anything like that. So just accept that this is what it is. Don't complain. It's your item and move on with your life. Yep. That's the take. That's the good take. All right, Lost Chapter items. They are giving them all, I think, 5 ability haste, if I remember correctly. Why are they doing this? They put that we are performing a little worse than average item spike. Okay, they just want higher item spike on them. Cool. Fantastic. Archangels +5, Ludens +5, Maligma +5. We take it. Cool. Great. Thumbs up. They're nerfing melee lethal tempo. Oh, I guess I should say, oh, wait, let's get into the runes. Yeah. They're nerfing melee lethal tempo by, I think this is like, how much was it? 24% attack speed, level 1? It's kind of a lot, by the way. So melee lethal tempo feels a lot worse. This is bad for Yone. This is bad for Nocturne. This is bad for Yasuo. This is bad for any melee who is actually taking lethal tempo, obviously, as you do. But those are just some champions that are more affected by it. It now shows total max health gained rather than damage done. Cool. Progress stacks. Just overall like UI updates to healing. Kind of a nice one here is health is regenerated faster in the fountain, which is cool because you get to play the game faster. Your resets take less time. Thanks, Riot. Really cool. I mean, it's a small thing, but it affects like how tempo works and stuff like that very marginally, because it is 0.5% faster. That's like every 0.25 seconds. So you're getting what? 2% HP faster per second? Not bad. Not bad. 2% max HP faster per second. Kind of decent if you put it out like that. They are making a small change to tether abilities, and it basically so they update faster and they break faster, if I remember correct, which is cool. Yeah. No more like bullshit moments where you get E'd and you flash and then you get stunned anyway. They kind of take those red side camera adjustments. I think this is for offset and stuff like that. A-ramp balance changes. Get me out. Rank decay, LP gains. Who cares? Quick play, cool. Clash, enjoy your clash. Mythic shop rotation. Yeah, I don't really have any comments on these. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think there's any major bug fixes or anything like that, I want to say, that I'm aware of. Porcelain skins look really cool, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Not really much more to talk about. I would say overall support meta isn't too affected like that. Bard is still going to get played. Thresh is probably going to get played more. Straka is going to get played a lot more, I'd imagine. Lulu's going to get played a decent amount more. I am really curious about the Lulu support and how it goes. Oh, of course, Maokai support is getting nerfed, which feels thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up to the Maokai support. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I hope that you guys do enjoy this type of content because it's not something that I always try to make, but kind of fun to make every once in a while. So give me your feedback. If you guys like how I give the feedback or how I go through the patch notes, I know people in the past told me it was much more chill and just an easier explanation to things rather than going too in depth. So I kind of tried to go for that again. And hopefully that's the type of content that you guys liked. Bye.